Why do you think so many people have such a hard time understanding the truth?
The same reason they marched to Mussolini, saluted Stalin, and hailed Hitler.
Yeah.
They're cowards. They're gutless little cowards. They've been brainwashed as kids and they haven't grown up.
Yeah.
But it does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men, said Samuel Adams. And they just had an election in Spain. Isabel Diaz Ayuso. She won like the governorship, the premiership of the entire area of Madrid. She was the mayor. She refused to lock down during the COVID war.
Wow.
She ran a campaign on one word, and she won big time. Is this last week? One word.
What was it?
Freedom.
Freedom.
The entire contents of this podcast and website are based upon the opinions of Tammy Garcia and her guests, unless otherwise noted. The information on this podcast is not intended to replace a one-on-one relationship with a qualified healthcare professional and is not intended as medical advice. It is intended as a sharing of knowledge and information from the research and experience of Tammy Garcia and her guests. This is the Naturally Inspired Podcast, coming to you from our 1890 homestead in Johnstown, Colorado. I'm Tammy, and I want to thank you for joining us. Let's get started and help people feel good so they can do what they love for longer.
Today on the Naturally Inspired Podcast, we have Gerald Celente joining us. Gerald is the founder and director of the Trends Research Institute and publisher of the weekly Trends Journal magazine. He is the author of the highly acclaimed and best-selling books Trend Tracking and Trends 2000, published by Warner Books. He has a 40-year track record of identifying, tracking, and forecasting trends. Celente is world-renowned as today's #1 trend forecaster. He has earned the reputation as a trusted name in trends for many accurate forecasts, among them the 1987 stock market crash, the dot-com bust, gold bull run, the panic of '08, the rise of organic foods, and the popularity of gourmet coffee long before Starbucks was a household name. He's a self-described warrior for the Prince of Peace. Gerald is also the founder of Occupy Peace and Freedom, a not-for-profit movement to honor the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and restore freedoms. I hope you enjoy this episode of the Naturally Inspired Podcast with Gerald Celente. Thank you so much for being on the Naturally Inspired Podcast today, Gerald. This is such a thrill.
Well, thank you for having me.
I want to jump right in because we have a lot to cover and I want to be respectful of your time too. So first and foremost, tell me about OccupyPeace.com. What is this and why did you start it?
I started it because it's a peace movement and it's basically very simple. Bring home all the troops. We have no right being in these other countries. Who made this up? Mm-hmm. This is the military-industrial complex that Dwight D. Eisenhower, 5-star general, supreme commander of the Allied forces, 2-term president, warns the American people on January 17th, 1961, 3 days before he's leaving office, that the military-industrial complex is robbing the nation of the genius of the scientists, the sweat of the laborers, and the future of the children. Here we are. Mm-hmm. How many more wars? Hey, didn't they do a great job with Afghanistan, huh? How stupid can the people be to follow a murderous, low-life piece of scum crap like a George W. Bush? And let me tell you something. You know, that guy, Saddam Hussein, has weapons of mass destruction. I'm a lying bastard, but I'll make up the story and the people will swallow my crap. And we'll kill 1 million+ people over there for a war based on lies and destroy the country.
Yeah.
And I'm the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner, Barack Obama. I want that guy Assad out of there. I want that guy Gaddafi out of there. I don't care if we destroy Libya, the richest country in Africa, where the people had more rights and benefits than a lot of Western nations. What this is, I'm an American. I'm not a murderous, lying piece of political scum.
Yeah.
I respect the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the founding fathers like a man, not like these little boys that couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. Somebody by the name of George Washington.
Mm-hmm. Why do you
no
think
foreign entanglements? Bring home the troops,
Yes.
secure the homeland. You want to go to war? Let the people vote.
Right.
We're the ones that pay for the war with our money and our lives, not the senator's sons.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's occupied peace. The reason I did it is I was looking to leave the country.
Oh.
In 2010, because I had it with this, And anyway, we were opening the Trends Journal in Berlin, in Germany, and I was in Berlin. I'd never been to Berlin before, and it was grander than Paris before it was bombed out. And I'm sitting there having a beer, cafe tables, sidewalks wide enough for 4 or 5 cafe tables, beautiful median in the middle of the street. And I'm looking across the street at a beautiful German building, maybe 1880, at the same height, all new construction. And I realized everywhere they showed me around, it was the same thing. Beautiful building and all new construction. And I'm thinking in the 1930s, the Germans were at the height of Western civilization, culturally, scientifically, philosophically.
Yeah.
The war was coming to an end. How come the people didn't stop it? Where were the people? You're losing. Oh, you like Dresden?
Mm-hmm.
So I came back and there was a for sale sign on a building where I am up in Kingston, the 1750 Franz Rogan House. And this is the most historic Four Corners in America. It's the only place with pre-Revolutionary War stone buildings. And right there, I could almost hit it with a rock, is the county courthouse. When Kingston was the first capital of New York State, the Constitution that was written there, over 70% of America's Constitution comes directly from that Constitution. And John Jay, the Supreme Court judge, yeah, he was over there too. He was a judge here, and so too are 3 other Supreme Court judges. So the seeds of democracy were sown here. So I bought up 3 of the other buildings. The other one's a museum. That's why I did it. Not because I'm a real estate guy. I'm not. I bought it for the soul of America and who I am. Free to be me. Love it or leave it. No, you leave it. Don't you tell me how to be an American and rob me of my constitutional and Bill of Rights.
Right.
So I fight for freedom.
Well, I'm grateful that you do. Why do you think so many people have such a hard time understanding the truth?
The same reason they marched to Mussolini, saluted Stalin, and Heil Hitler.
Yeah.
They're cowards. They're gutless little cowards. They've been brainwashed as kids and they haven't grown up.
Yeah.
But it does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men, said Samuel Adams. And they just had an election in Spain. Isabel Diaz Ayuso. She won like the governorship, the premiership of the entire area of Madrid. She was the mayor. She refused to lock down during the COVID war.
Wow.
She ran a campaign on one word, and she won big time. Is this last week? One word.
What was it?
Freedom.
Freedom. Wow. That's amazing.
Freedom.
We don't hear that though.
And that's what I do. And that's why I launched Occupy Peace. It's Occupy Peace and Freedom. And of course, on May 29th up here in Kingston,
you're having a huge party.
Crown Garden, we're having a rally, a festival to unite for freedom, peace, and justice. Having music, food, bands, great time, wonderful speakers. Even David Knight is going to be a speaker up here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that you're going to have music and, there's going to be interaction, and because that's what we need to bring the vibration up, right? We need
Yep.
to bring morale up and do what we love doing and
Yeah.
just be together.
And you could beat them easily because these politicians are so tight, man. Not a drop of boogie, not an ounce of jive. You kill them with a good time. They don't know a good time. They're miserable bitches and bastards. I got to be equal here.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And by the way, I was the assistant to the secretary of the New York State Senate at 26 years old. I've been with presidents, prime ministers, and princes. I know the deal.
Right.
These are the people I hated in high school and college that wanted to be class president and head of the student council.
Right.
They never work a day in their life, like little Joe Biden, been sucking off the public tit his whole life.
Yep.
One after another. And the bureaucrats, these are people that can't get a job in the real world, so they suck into the political system and then tell us what to do.
Right. Well, we're definitely headed down a path that in my lifetime I've never seen before. And I want to talk to you about finances because we talk about health here quite a bit, and finances has a huge impact on people's health, particularly families and men who take that burden on. So I want to talk about it because if we can provide people with what to do, right, some preparation, I think that's going to help ease things because we're not headed down a road we've been down before. Would you agree?
Oh, this is unprecedented in world history.
Yep.
I mean, you look at the United States debt to GDP ratio, it's worse than it was in World War II when they were borrowing all that money and they just keep pumping more in. And it's around the world. They're all doing it. Yep. Zero negative interest rate policy is unprecedented. All this money they're pumping in, debt level over $28 trillion.
Yep.
So,
and our families are going to feel that pinch. We're already starting to see it. One of the things you pointed out in your latest Trends Journal was about the work from home boom and how that's going to impact commercial real estate. What do you see happening there?
Again, we see at least a 25% decline in commuting to work. 25%. And you look at the numbers out there. Google came out and said 20% of the people could work any place in the country. Another 20% could work at home. So now it's left with 60% going to work.
Okay.
And out of that 60%, they could take off 2 days a week and work from wherever they want.
Wow.
So all the businesses that depended on commercial real estate, commuters, they're going to be down at least 25%, we estimate. And the building boom was oversaturated before this happened in 2019. You go into New York in 2019, from the West Village to Park Avenue, Fifth Avenue, East Side, West Side, all around the town, for rent, before this happened.
Okay. Wow.
So I believe commercial real estate's going to, and then you have also the big companies like the Hudson Yards, this ugly piece of crap they built on the west side of New York City, $25 billion, $25 billion, ugly as can be. They had Michelin star restaurants in there, Neiman Marcus, gone, shoot, empty.
Whoa. What do you see happenings with these buildings?
Oh, they're going to be empty. They're going to say, oh, we're going to make apartments out of them. Okay, great.
Yeah. Pack people into cities.
Yeah. But it's not, it's going to be a long time before it comes back. Because what happened is never before have so many people left big cities.
Right.
This is new.
Yes.
Where I am up in Kingston, New York, if Bloomberg of 181 cities, the prices went up here the highest, 18.1%.
Wow.
People buying things up here. I met people who bought things sight unseen.
Yep. So that's how it's impacting the residential market then, because people are leaving the cities because here in Colorado, they can't keep inventory where I'm at. So I'm in northern Colorado, and the people are getting above asking price.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It's going to end when interest rates go up.
Okay.
End of story. Everything's going to go down when interest rates go up. And interest rates are going to go up as inflation goes up. They're going to have to raise interest rates.
Right.
Now, as interest rates go up and as inflation goes up and interest rates go up, the debt level goes up, because now you got to pay your debt with higher interest rates.
Right.
And then you go back to the government. They're bragging now, oh, we could take on this money because interest rates are so low.
Right.
When the interest rate game ends, the whole thing is over.
Right. So would your
advice my estimate is when Fed rate hits 1.5, that's the end. Go back to when Trump was in, he forced Colin Powell to lower interest rates because the markets were going down then, before the COVID war began.
Right. So your advice would be to lock in now if you possibly can, right? With your own residential?
I'm not allowed to give advice.
Right.
They'll arrest me.
Right.
I don't have a financial, one of those things. So
right.
I got to be careful.
Right.
Yeah.
So tune in.
The magazine, the motto of the Trends Journal is think for yourself.
Absolutely. So I've heard other people say that this is going to be the biggest real estate acquisition of all time, right? Because these billionaires are going to be able to buy up all this cheap commercial real estate. Do you see that happening? And
sure. The bigs are getting bigger and bigger, and all the cheap money is fueling it. Look, when I was a young guy, they didn't have private equity groups, hedge funds, and all this stuff.
Right.
They didn't exist. It's a total sellout. Mm-hmm. And again, the billionaires got $8 trillion richer around the world in 2020, as other people got busted and poor. You're out of business. You're a non-essential piece of garbage.
Right.
But Walmart, that's essential. No, we don't have any restrictions. Go and do whatever the hell you want. Costco, do whatever you want. Home Goods, yeah. But you little restaurateur, you little retailer, you got to close. You're non-essential. We've been sold out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people still have a hard time believing that there's a very select few that are owning all of that. Like we talk about these big, investment groups, they're buying up everything. And when someone says, this whole thing is owned by just a handful, 10 different people or whatever, people blow it off and they can't comprehend.
Again, you can't put your mind into what the other people think or do.
Yeah.
Everybody I talk with, my friends and stuff, they say, oh yeah, but the people, I can't convince you. Don't put your energy there. You're not going to convince them. As my father used to say to me as a kid, may he rest in peace, when I get upset about something, he says, son, he said, take it easy. People have little minds. You don't bother with those. Again, it does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men. That's where you put your energy. Right. I estimate anywhere between 30-40% of the people agree with everything that we're talking about.
You think so? 30 to 40%?
Yeah. So the other 60%, they're just followers. Poof, over the cliff they go. Hey, put on that mask before you get on all aboard to Auschwitz. Yeah, that's them.
It's frightening to watch. It's frightening to watch.
Yeah, again, it's a waste of energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're definitely been doing it a whole lot longer than me, and you're an expert at it. I still trying to say, hey, look at this.
It's a waste of energy. You focus on bringing the people together to unite so that we could change it in a positive way.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Dogs don't make cats. You're not going to change it.
That's a good analogy. That's very good. The lamestream media, as I like to call them, they're, this racket they're pitching that there's no inflation. What do the numbers tell us?
Oh, God, this is unprecedented. Copper prices are at all-time high.
Yeah.
And now, by the way, you got to watch oil.
Okay.
It was just almost up to $70 a barrel, but now with what's going on in the Middle East and Israel and Palestine, and it breaks my heart actually.
Yep.
So if that explodes into with Iran, you're going to see oil prices go $100 a barrel. They'll crash the economy. And then you're looking at steel prices, tin prices, everything. It's off the charts.
Yeah.
Is it temporary, the boost? Yes, to a point, but they're still going to stay high. So you take lumber, for example.
Oh
It
my
costs
gosh.
$36,000 more just to build an average house, just for lumber,
Yeah.
just for lumber. So let's say the price goes down 40%. It's still going to be up there.
Right.
And copper is a very important one to watch because copper is used in everything from high tech to heavy industry. They call it Dr. Copper because it's an indicator where things are going.
Right.
And I mentioned copper prices, they've come down a little bit, but they just hit an all-time high.
Yeah. I'm interested, like there's a subdivision being built close to us a few miles down the road. How are they going to finish these houses with this inflation of the lumber? I mean, they're mid-build, you know, a lot of the supplies haven't been purchased yet. How are they going to do that? The banks are just going to come back and say, okay, we'll give you more money.
It's going to be tough, and it is becoming tougher. Some of them are on hold.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how about our food supply? How's this inflation going to affect our supply?
I don't see a problem with it. But again, it's the local, the people that are in, the more rural areas, you have farms and other things, they're going to do fine. The prices are going to go up on everything.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it because so few companies, again, control the whole supply chain. Smithfield, the biggest pork producer, right?
Yep.
You know who owns them?
I could probably guess.
Yes.
Is it Monsanto, Bayer?
China.
Oh, it's China. Now that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the biggest pork eaters in the world.
Yeah.
So, and then you look at, again, we know names like Smithfield and Purdue and on and on.
Yeah.
Very few control the entire system. Like everything else has become a monopoly.
Yep.
So there could be shortages in different products at different times, but I don't see it. I don't see it long term.
Well, regulation right now in Colorado and Oregon is hitting our farming and ranching pretty heavily. They're trying to bring down some outrageous regulations that would control husbandry and control our production of beef and other animals too. So that's a real concern.
Yeah.
And I know that Bill Gates is heavily invested in fake meat. So I see something coming. I see something coming here. I'm seeing Impossible Burgers in the meat case. Buy the meat.
Yeah, it has a market share, but it's going to be it'll have a sizable market share. But you look at the whole organic section, it's tiny compared to the other parts.
Right.
I mean, look at America. 42% of the people are obese.
I know. They're not going to have it.
70% are overweight.
Yeah. Well,
So, and you're looking at the sales going up across the chicken prices are going up because people are eating more of these chicken wings and buying all this crap from these places. They're eating that junk.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I definitely encourage people here to plant a garden. And if you have the space, that's something that we should be at least cognizant about, of having some food source. Cause I don't know, I'm skeptical. I think things are going a little south.
Well, it's always good to grow your own and do your own. I mean, I have had gardens all my, adult life, tomatoes and peppers and on, but of course you should have your own garden, no matter where you are, if you could do it.
Yeah. So you grew up in the Bronx, and you already mentioned this. Your dad's motto was "think for yourself," right? That's kind of how you grew up, which I love. But how do you think we're doing on that in this country right now?
Well, again, I didn't grow. I grew up, a lot of years in the Bronx, and then we moved to Yonkers, which was just north of it. Was like the country.
Beautiful.
But anyway,
I bet that was beautiful.
It was. We had a house that overlooked the Hudson River. The Palisades are beautiful, beautiful mountain. And from the top floor of our house, you could see two bridges, the Tappan Zee and the George Washington. But anyway, but I like the Bronx much better because You grew up to be free. You know, it was a whole different, you learn how to fight. You learn how to be your own person.
Yep.
And I was lucky because I grew up, you know, I'm the first of the baby boomers. I'm born in 46.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, you know, sisters and brothers born in the 30s. I was the youngest. And so I got to see that, and I got to see, you know, both directions. So it was wonderful. And about thinking for yourself again, you know, it's only going to be, look, when the American Revolution began, was about 5% of the people supported it. Even at the height, only about 50% of the people supported it. So again, you don't count those. And the important thing is for people to let go of your ideology.
Right.
It's not what you want, what you wish for, what you hope, or what you believe in. It's what is.
Right. It's truth. Right. People have a really hard time with the truth these days because.
So again, they don't count.
Yep. Well, I think our school system and a lot of our cultural tendencies, we pulled our kids out 4 years ago because we saw where this was going.
Oh, yeah. School screwed me up big time. I mean, I had a nun that beat me up, perforated my middle ear, broke my eardrum. And I was a great athlete.
Yes.
A kid, 10 years old. And I used to water ski in the Hudson River with just a belt on. And going over the wakes of ships on one ski, you know, slalom. And I never could get my ears wet again the rest of my life.
Gosh.
I lost my balance. Then she left me back. No, school's terrible. I ran away from kindergarten at 4.5 years old and crossed the Boston Post Road in the Bronx, which was the major artery before Boston Post Road between Boston and New York before they built the highways. So it's brainwashing.
Yes.
That's all it is.
It's indoctrination.
It was invented by the Prussians at the beginning of the industrial age when people no longer could make what they wanted to make. They had to work in big areas and they wanted them to read, write, do math, and follow orders.
Yeah.
That's your school system.
Yeah. Which is probably, I'm guessing, why you didn't do well in it.
Oh, I barely got out of high school. You know, I had nightmares about school until my 40s.
Wow.
Yeah. I hated every day of it.
Yeah.
And that's why I went to Catholic school. One of my brothers, may rest in peace, I needed discipline. He sent me there. Yeah, you look up the older brother. Yeah. As bad as it was, I'm just thankful Father Foley was a ladies' man because it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, oh gosh. Yeah, I know. I feel like you're a certain type of personality that does well in school, or, you know, because you're good at following orders or you don't mind. But my son came out of kindergarten a couple of weeks after he started and said, "Why would anybody pay for 4 more years of this?" And he was talking about school. He was talking about college. Oh, yeah. He was 5.
Yeah, well, I was 4.5 with time to take a nap. I'm napping every day. No, time to take a nap now. Gerald, you have to take a nap. You lay down. The next day, she said, "Time to take a nap." I laid down. She turned around. I was out the door, man.
Yep. I feel bad for our kids in a lot of respect. I mean, of course, because of what's going on right now, but just because I grew up in the 80s and it was, you know, get on your bike and go and meet all the other kids in the neighborhood. And there was natural consequences of that, right? Like you said,
of course.
You learned how to fight. Like in one day, you're probably crawling on a roof. You're eating freezies with dirty hands. You're beating on somebody. Somebody's beating on you. You've gotten in 5 arguments. You go home and your mom says, "How was it?" You're like, "Great."
Yeah, right. But I should have been dead 100 times.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you learned a ton of stuff every day.
I know. It's sad. They've again, it's the entire system. It's the entire system. But again, never in my life have I seen a better time for a positive change than now.
True.
And again, you go back to what just happened in Spain. The facts are there, freedom. Yeah. And that's what we're all talking about with the conversations about our personal life. It's about freedom.
That's
freedom.
Right.
And there's never been another better time than now.
Absolutely.
For new political parties and new movements.
Yeah. Maybe it's a case of sometimes you don't realize what you have until it's gone.
Yep.
Right. I mean, I was just talking with someone. We had an exchange about being on an airplane, and a woman stood up for herself and was like, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not wearing a mask. The entire plane berated her because they were mad that they were going to be late to where they were going.
Yeah.
They've completely lost the plot here.
Yep.
Completely lost the plot. As I mentioned, I'm a mom of a boy and a girl. And I think this is something that's really important that we don't talk about. A lot of men are being accused of toxic masculinity, right? So, and our boys too. I mean, as raising a boy, often I heard, oh, you can't let him do that. You can't, don't let him do that. Don't let him play war, all of that kind of crap. But I've seen a shift too over the years where women run the finances in households a lot of the times now. And I see it in passing where there's this kind of just man hands over his paycheck and the woman pays all the bills and kind of makes all the financial decisions now. I don't think it was that case back in like the 50s or so. This has been kind of a slow transition. But how do we create a balance? I think it's important that both men and women.
Well, the thing is, who's best at handling it? That's how I look at it. If I don't like. When I was married, may she rest in peace, poof, she handled all of the, I didn't want to bother with any of that.
Right.
And as far as masculinity, here I am. This is one of my books, what Zizzy gave Honey Boy. And Zizzy is the Neapolitan dialect for auntie. And there was a movie, this woman, there used to be a movie, TV series, Everyone Loves Raymond. And the woman, Doris Roberts, who played the mother, her last starring role was playing my aunt. And they only got 15 minutes of the movie. And then she died, Doris Roberts. But anyway, here I am at my first communion, holding hands with Teresa McKelvey. She's about a head taller than me. I never knew it. And we were in love. You could see it. We used to kiss in religious instructions. Now they'd have me shot up with drugs.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Unless I became transgender and was kissing, then it'd be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how do we nurture, I guess, financial literacy in this kind of fake?
You have to do it on your own.
Yeah.
The current system is never going to open up to objectivity and true equality. And what they've done is everything has become into race, creed, and color.
Yep.
Not who's the best at what. It's like me saying, I think we should sue the NFL and the NBA because they have too many black players on the team. They don't have enough white players. No. You don't have to have the best. We have to have equality.
Yep.
How stupid is that? I could care who is what, color, gender, race. I want the best person.
Right.
And I have to tell you, I've been in the system a lot of years. When I was in the corporate world, so I know what I know. I was on the other side, and never even thought about a woman hiring a man or a woman. What difference would it make? You just want the best person,
right?
Are there morons that are racist and sexist? Of course there are. Yeah. You were talking about all the people you can't convince the facts with, but that doesn't make the whole nation like that. So to force the whole nation into a belief system like that, you have to believe in their, I could care less. Again, it makes absolutely no sense to keep doing this, and they keep doing it more and more. They brag that Janet Yellen is a woman and she's the head of the Treasury. I saw Christine Lagarde is the head of the European Central Bank and the International Monetary Fund before that.
Yeah.
Look at the criminality of those groups.
Yeah. We're going back to segregation, to real segregation.
Yeah.
We've come full circle, and
That's actually very well put.
We are going back into systemic racism by making decisions based on people's gender and color of their skin.
Yeah, and America is not a racist nation. Are they racist? Of course they are. You don't elect a black president in a racist nation. So save it, everybody. Oh, and what I think Kamala Harris is a couple of shades darker than me.
Mm-hmm.
Is she vice president in the racist nation? Oh, how about Condoleezza Rice?
Yeah.
The next mushroom cloud you see. Yeah, selling the Iraq War, and Colin Powell with the colon of crap that he had over there, telling us the proof of Saddam Hussein. What color was he? Oh, how about that guy, Eric Holder? The banks are too big to fail. Yeah. Too big to jail. No, that was it. So I don't want to hear it. Are there racists? Yes. When I was a kid, my sister took me to Virginia Beach. I tell you, after the nun beat me up, I went down and to get me away. And I went to Virginia Beach, and they had the ferry in those days. And I'll never forget getting on the ferry and seeing a water fountain that said for whites only. As a kid. So of course there was that terrible part of that. But where I grew up, it wasn't like that.
Right.
You don't continue this thing. Going back to Janet Yellen. Oh yeah, we got a bankster now. Former head of the Federal Reserve, which isn't federal, as everybody knows.
Right.
Now is our Treasury head.
Yeah.
You got the banksters right there. You got your money.
Yep. Let's talk about Bitcoin, because I want to know what you think about that. In 2017, you said, you predicted, they'll try to kill it, right? They'll try to kill it.
They're going to. When the governments go digital cash, they're going to get rid of the competition.
Yep. Do you think
until that happens, the prices are going to be volatile, up and down, but more up. Until they put a clamp down on it. And they're going to do it. One country after another is going to go digital, because then they know every penny that you spent, where you spent it, how you spent it, so they can get the money, so they don't have to work. And they call it taxes.
Right. And compliance, right? So we'll have to comply in order to have access to our digital wallets.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you see any way out of that?
No, not as long as the banksters are in control.
Right. Do you think
get rid of the federal bank? They have no business being here.
Well, we know what happens to people when they try to do that.
Another murderous man, may he rot in hell, Woodrow Wilson. I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy, sending the boys to go fight, doughboys, to fight in a war we had no business being in. Oh, how did World War I start? Well, it says in the history book, when the Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated. Oh, yeah, what the hell are we doing over there? You mean a bunch of mobs trying to control different places? They destroyed Europe. He gave us the Federal Reserve. In the 1800s, one of the biggest campaign issues is not to have a central bank. Do away with them. They have no right being here.
Yeah.
And it can happen when we have a new movement. And that's what I'm fighting for, is a new movement to unite for freedom, peace, and justice. I had it with these criminals.
Yeah. What does that look like in terms of our monetary system if we don't have the central banks?
Oh, you have a real system like we all have in our personal lives, where you don't borrow that you can't pay for.
Right.
And also part of it to happen is we put back all of the tariffs that used to happen before Bill Clinton sold us out. With NAFTA and bringing China into the World Trade Organization. Very simple. Just put back into place what used to exist.
Right.
We should be a self-sustaining economy.
Yes.
We have one of the richest countries in the world with resources, and we have everything that we need here. Self-sustaining.
Yeah. Can you explain Bitcoin?
You were talking about growing your own food.
Yes.
Okay. So keep expanding it.
Yes. Yep. Can you explain Bitcoin a little bit more?
It's what Bitcoin has done. It's a young people's investment, and gold prices should be now in the 3,000s if there wasn't for cryptocurrencies. Silver should be over $100. You can't predict. It's only what, about 11, 12-year-old, 10-year-old thing. That's why when people call me a futurist, I can't predict the future. Who would have ever invented this?
Exactly. I can barely understand what it is.
It has a place as the world becomes more high-tech and digital.
Right.
And that's what makes it what it is.
Right.
And it's going to be an investment opportunity for people that believe that the currencies aren't worth anything. So the lower the value of the currency goes, the higher the cryptocurrencies will go. until again, like you saw, a Musk came out and said, we're not going to take money for Bitcoin to buy a car anymore because they burn too much energy.
Mm-hmm.
And the price goes down. So
Right.
you have a lot of volatility in it.
Yeah.
To me, we've been following it. We said Bitcoin would break out in the Trends Journal when it went over 10,000, and it did. Boom. The downside we see is as low as 26,000.
Wow.
And if it hits that, then it could go down into the tank.
Mm-hmm. Are you investing in gold and silver?
Oh, I've invested in gold and silver since 1978.
And you'll never stop, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard. I mean, there's so much information and it's so hard to know how to prepare at this time. Like, I thought I had things figured out. I thought I had a plan for us. We're in real estate. We have a business, I thought everything, and now everything is different.
It keeps changing. That's why that's what the Trends Journal is about. Current events form future trends. You got to see what's going on and how it's going to change. And you don't do it with an agenda.
Right.
So I'm talking about Israel, what's going on over there. I do it without an agenda.
Yeah.
So if I express what I'm saying, they call me an anti-Semite.
Yeah.
And they're not Semites, they're Ashkenazis, they're from Eastern Europe. Semites are from the Mesopotamia area, but that's another story. But when I call out a Fauci, a Cuomo, or Draghi, the bankster that's running Italy, if their name was Draghiberg, Cuomostein, or Faucioff, they'd call me an anti-Semite.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you look at things for the way they are, not the way you want them to be, and you don't get caught up into the system. But you have to stay on this on a daily basis. I mean, you see the magazine.
It's a
135 pages,
Yeah.
No ads.
Yeah.
We give it every ounce we have to stay on top of events.
You do. What are your feelings on this gas shortage?
Temporary.
Okay. Do you think it's being created by people's rush to go get it? The media?
No, it's temporary because what they haven't talked about with the system, that the pipeline, it's only antiquated system was built in 1960.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's one of the major ones. So can there be a cyber attack and a short jump thing? Of course they can.
Yeah.
But again, temporary.
Yeah.
But again, the bigger issue is if crude oil breaks over $75, $80 an ounce, a barrel rather, then you're going to see real problems.
Right. What do you think about the Great Reset?
It's true.
Yeah.
I believe what Klaus Schwab said when he wrote the book.
Right. He's
and
telling you.
And it's right there in black and white. I got to be equal. I have to say black and white. The bigs have taken over.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And now they've done it with, you don't have to work. Here's your money. If you're making $15 an hour, why should I go to work when I got government money that is equal to $15 an hour? That's why people can't find employees at restaurants and hospitality and different sectors.
Yeah, they're paying people here to go on an interview.
Yeah, I know.
They're paying you $50 to show up for the interview.
I know. So the Great Reset's happened.
Yeah. Do you see universal basic income coming in soon?
It can. It's going to be part of it.
Yeah.
But again, it only can last for so long because the debt level is going to explode. And when interest rates go up, they're not going to be able to pay it.
Right. So what we really need to be watching is interest rates, because that's
interest rates are the whole game. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. So when we start seeing those climbing, then we know.
Again, go back to under Trump. He put all that pressure under Powell long before the COVID war began. Mm-hmm. The markets were going down. They were crashing. It's an artificially propped up market that gives money to the bigs. That's why you see the merger and acquisition. They're borrowing money for almost nothing.
Right.
And by the way, the bigs are starting to jump out of corporate junk bonds now too, because they know how bad it's getting.
Like which ones? What have you noticed?
Well, a whole load of. I'm just saying, when you're looking at the numbers, watch the junk bond numbers. They're buying, they're selling.
And that's a good indication right there.
Yeah, because the bigs know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that whole Robin Hood fiasco, where they stop the trading. If it's not
Yeah.
getting obvious to people, I don't know what else will be. It's just so obvious what's happening here. The sooner, the better that people understand that they're not for you, right? They're not for the little guy.
No.
So tell us about Trends Journal. Where can people connect to it? How do they get signed up for it? What do they all get with it?
They go to trendsjournal.com. Time Magazine is like last week's news next week. We're tomorrow's news today, history before it happens. We write about what's going on around the world and financially, geopolitically, from the environment to high-tech science to technocracy to health, fitness and nutrition.
I saw Gary Knoll. Gary Knoll is part of writing for you as well.
Yeah, Gary Knoll's a friend of mine. Yeah.
Oh, I love him. I've followed him for years.
I've been in a number. Yeah, we're the matter of fact, he spoke at my first Occupy Peace rally, and he'll be up here again on the 4th of July. We're having the rally on May 29th, a Memorial Day, Unite for Peace, Unite for Freedom, Peace, and Justice event with music, entertainment. Having another one on the 4th of July. Gary Knoll will be there. Wonderful. And as I mentioned, David Knight will be at this one. Last year I had Judge Napolitano. Matter of fact, Judge Napolitano will be up here on Saturday to go out to dinner with me. We're very good friends.
Wonderful.
And the Trends Journal helps you prepare for the future. Yeah. We say, these are the trends. This is what it means. This is where it's going. And these are the opportunities that we see on trendpreneur opportunities.
Right.
So again, yes, where the real estate market's going, we talk about with the ups and the downs, and you decide you do what you want. But there's not one ad in the whole Trends Journal.
Yeah.
Not one ad. It's only $2 a week. You buy a local newspaper, it costs you almost that a day.
And you won't get that kind of information.
You got nothing. It's junk. Junk news. So no, there's no magazine like it. Nothing comes close to it. If anybody could show me a magazine, if you want to know what to prepare, prevail, and prosper, show me another magazine or any source that could do it better than we are. I'd love to see it.
I agree with you. I want to ask you about one last thing here. You've been a practitioner of martial arts for a long time. Tell me about that, and what has that done for you over your lifetime?
Well, I mentioned to you that that when a nun beat me up, that really messed me up, because that's when we moved to Yonkers. And I was a kid that grew up in the Bronx, and I was the smallest kid. So one time I got in a fight, and I was the toughest kid. This big kid tried to bully me, and I got him down on the ground. I got my hand in his, ripping his gums out. A 10-year-old kid doesn't do that, But when you grew up the way I did, you learn how to fight. So the teacher called up, the mother called up the nun, and that's the nun when she beat me up. And so I lost my fight. I lost a lot. And I got it back by getting back into get the fight. You don't have to learn how to fight. I wasn't taught how to fight as a kid growing up.
Yeah.
You don't teach a bird how to fight, a cat how to fight, a dog how to fight, a squirrel how to fight, a rat how to fight, a lion how to fight. They took the fight out of us. We all have it in us naturally. So with close combat, and we had Brad Steiner, who passed away, who was he was the top close combat guy in the United States. My teacher, John Perkins from attackproof.com, that was his teacher. Wow. You learn how to fight yourself. You're just you.
Yeah.
You're going to, and with close combat, when you get in a fight, you're in there for the kill.
Right.
This is to see who's tough. That's the other thing I learned as a kid. My father, may rest in peace, he said, son, when you get in a fight, show them no quarters. In other words, when you got them down on the ground and they want to get up, you finish them off. Because if you don't finish them off, they're going to get up and beat you up. Right. So with close combat, you go to the end. You go to the end. If somebody's going to try to fight with you, you're going to kill them. That's what's in. So that ends the fight with a lot of people because they know it. And a little guy like me, I'm not going to punch anybody out.
Right.
I'm going to be on you. I'll be whipping out your carotid artery. I'll be biting through it.
Strategy.
My palm of my hand will be pushing your nose through your brain, and my fingers will be in your brain too. I'm not going to punch out anybody. I'm going to be on you like that. When they're raising their hands, you're in.
Mm-hmm.
That's martial. That's close combat.
Yeah.
And, I've been doing it now. I had my own school for many years.
That's
and I stopped when I ripped out my carotid artery. My carotid artery. What do you call it? The thing on your knee.
ACL?
Yeah, cruciate ligament. Yeah. And I used to have guys coming in, the Baltimore Blasters. I mean, I had people from all over coming over. We had running advertisements on radios around.
Right.
That this is the one. So they come and they see a little guy like me. And of course, you man to man, you say, okay, listen, once it gets out of hand, we stop.
Right.
But after I ripped my cruciate ligament, that's when I stopped my school. Yeah. But I practice every day workout,
You do still practice every day?
Oh, yeah, every day.
Yeah, a discipline. I think that's so necessary. And with the way you described that about, they take the fight out of you. This is the conditioning that people have received through education. That we
no bullying zone.
We
can't make up more stupid shit than that.
I know. And also it's bad to be angry. You're not allowed to be angry. Yeah. People say, "Oh, I never get mad." Are you dead? Are you dead?
There was this guy, his name was Jesus Christ. He built a whip. He made his own whip and drive the money changers out of the temple. He became violent.
Yeah.
The Prince of Peace. There's a time when you have to fight.
Right.
And nobody's going to fight for you. Oh, you call the police. No, you walk. Look, you're a mother of 2 kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
You never had a marshal. You don't know how to fight. If some man came up, you would and try to grab your child, you'd be on that guy going berserk on him.
Yep. Well, that's why I'm doing these interviews today, because this message needs to get out there that we're under attack. We're in World War III right now. They're trying to vaccinate our kids.
Yep.
They're trying to force vaccinate us. They're trying to surveil us. Our life will never be the same if we lose this battle.
I agree. And that's why I'm uniting for freedom, peace, and justice. And again, there are enough. There are enough to stop it. All again, just go back to what happened in Spain. Everybody look it up. Freedom. Yeah. And that's the movement that we're pushing, the freedom movement.
That's right.
Don't tell me what to do. I won't tell you. You won't tell me.
That's right.
So take it easy.
And we can figure out all the other shit later.
Look they've been wrong on everything. They're backtracking now on the outside. Your chances of getting the virus are virtually nothing. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're wiping down the surfaces. Oh, yeah, they found out. Oh, your odds of the virus picking it up on the surface, the doorknobs, is only 1 in 10,000.
Yeah. And kids aren't super spreaders anymore either.
Yeah. And their recovery rate is only 99.997% according to the CDC.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes.
And it's great that you're doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And keep that fight going.
I will. You bet I will. You keep that fight going too. And I appreciate you so much. And we tune in all the time. So we are with you.
Thank you.
One last time, where can people find you?
Okay. For the rally,
occupypeace.com,
occupypeace.com. And please donate. We can't do it on our own.
Yep.
Yeah, end of story. Can't win it on our own. We need to unite. And of course, trendsjournal.com to read history before it happens.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gerald. Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If the naturally inspired movement makes sense to you, let's do this together and transform the medical model and help people take charge of their health. Learn more about how you can join the Naturally Inspired movement by going to naturallyinspiredadvocate.com or call me at 970-475-4862.